Let's start a meeting of the panel on manpower. I know that you all are busy today. You may have to go to the meeting of PWSC next door. Item 1 on the agenda, information papers issued since the last meeting. Since the last meeting, the Secretariat sent 3 sets of documents to the members. They have been uploaded. Please note, second item, items for discussion at the next meeting. I will now ask the administration to enter the conference room first. The Secretariat has sent the members the list of outstanding items for discussion and the list of follow-up actions. I'm sure that you are aware of what items we will discuss in the following meetings. The next meeting will be held at 8:30 a.m. on the 16th of December 2024, Monday. Please note the time, 8:30 a.m. in the morning. We are to discuss 2 items. First, review of the coverage of ex gratia payment of severance payment under the Protection of Wages on Insolvency Fund. Second, review of the levels of compensation under the Employees' Compensation Ordinance, the Pneumoconiosis and Mesothelioma Compensation Ordinance, and the Occupational Deafness Compensation Ordinance. If there is no adverse comment, then on the regular meeting in December, we are going to discuss these 2 items. Mr. Lai Tong-kwok. Chairman, I have no comment regarding the items to be discussed in the next meeting, but in the paper issued, the administration responded to Mr. LUK Chung-hung's comments on issues relating to the protection of the employment rights of imported labor. I looked at the reply of the administration. It seems that they are copying what they wrote to us a decade ago, word by word. Can we prioritize this item, Chairman? We are aware of the content of Mr. Luk's letter, and I'm sure you've all read the administration's response. I'm sure all members are concerned about this item. We note Mr. Luk's and Mr. Lai's comments. We will talk to the Labor and Welfare Bureau. They should submit any further information to the panel on manpower. We'll follow up on that later on. There being no other comment, now we've come to the agenda item 3 of today's meeting, that is Hong Kong's occupational safety performance in the first half of 2024. Let me first introduce to you the representatives from the administration today. Mr. Vincent Fong, Deputy Commissioner for Labor, Mr. Wen Chi-ping, Assistant Commissioner for Labor, Dr. Wen Yun-kwon, Occupational Health Consultant, Labor Department, Dr. Eddie Ng, Occupational Health Consultant, Labor Department, and Mr. Ng Ho-wan, Chief Occupational Safety Officer, Labor Department. I know that Mr. Lai Tong-kwok a few months ago wrote to us, that is the panel on manpower. He is concerned about the safety of trust-out platforms. And the Labor Department has replied, I'm sure all members are concerned about this topic. So when you have any further information, please let us know. We're all concerned about the safety of bamboo scaffold. Would members who would like to speak, please press the button now. Now I will ask Mr. Vincent Fong, Deputy Commissioner for Labor, to brief us of the paper. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Members, we're here to brief members on the Hong Kong's occupational safety performance in the first half of 2024, as well as our strategies and measures to enhance OSH, occupational safety and health. The Labor Department adopt publicity and promotion means to promote our OSH levels. In the first half of 2024, there were a total of 12 cases of work fatalities, compared to 11 cases in the first half of 2023. The number is similar. Among the 12 cases of work fatalities, 11 involve construction industry. 2 are in the manufacturing industries. 5 cases of the construction industry, 2 cases in the manufacturing industry, and 4 cases in the transportation, storage, postal, and courier services. The Labor Department is very much concerned about these fatalities. We will adopt different means to protect the safety of the workers. As for the overall industrial accidents in the first half of 2024, we have 3,514 cases for all sectors. In the same period last year, we had 3,935. The accident rate per 1,000 workers was 11.7, compared to that of 13.4 in the 2023. They mainly involve slip, trip, or fall on the same level, injured while lifting or carrying. In the first half of 2024, we have 1,443 industrial accidents. The accident rate per 1,000 workers was 23.3, compared to 1,397 cases in the same period in 2023, and the accident rate 25.5%. As for F&B sectors, there were 1,490 industrial accidents, compared to 1,778 in 2023. The accident rate per 1,000 workers was 13.1, compared to 15.9% in the 2023. For sites with poor OSH performance, apart from inspections, we initiate operations and covert inspections. Also, we have amended the Code of Practice on truss-out scaffolding, and it was implemented on the 19th of October 2024. We have stepped up inspection. During the weekdays and weekends, we conduct district patrols to combat non-compliance. And we also monitor the compliance of the Code of Practice. As there are a number of accidents in the public cargo working areas under the purview of the Marine Department, the Labor Department has sent staff to all public cargo working areas under the Marine Department to see if there is systemic risks involved. We have been working with the management of the Marine Department to see if we can implement improvement measures. Now, in terms of promotion and publicity, we work together with the OSHC, CIC, radios and television stations. We produce different videos and programs. Through different channels, we promote the message of OSH. We also implement the mandatory courses and monitor the content. We want to step up the sector's awareness of common risks and alleviate such risks. On the other hand, I would like to highlight some of the high-risk works and what we've done. First area, we have amended a lot of the Code of Practice. In May 2024, we have amended the Code of Practice on confined space. We have included new requirements. We ask the proprietors and contractors to adopt measures such as by installing CCTV to monitor the entry and exit of confined space. We also provide templates so that duty holders can conduct risk assessment more comprehensively, and it will take effect on the 30th of November this year. We have also improved the content of the mandatory courses, that is the MSH or MST. We have shortened the validity period of the certificate so that workers have to refresh their OSH knowledge more frequently. The courses, after amended, will be implemented on the 30th of November 2024. As I've talked about the amendment to the Code of Practice on the truss-out scaffolding. It involves the stability of the scaffolding, and we combat alteration of the scaffolding. We also ask the relevant workers to be licensed before they can undertake such work. The Code of Practice sets out the requirements for the duty holders. Through different means, the Labor Department will step up promotion and publicity. We're working with the Property Management Services Authority to deepen the understanding of the revised Code of Practice for bamboo scaffolding safety among frontline property management staff through organizing safety seminars. And the revised Code of Practice, a Code of Conduct handling scaffolding works of PMSA so as to assist the industry in monitoring the work safety. And in February this year, we designate the 29th of April as the effective date for the implementation of the rest of the 4 measures of the Factories and Industrial Undertaking Safety Management Regulation. We also provide a Code of Practice on safety management. Apart from publicity promotion, enforcement, and inspection, the Labor Department also works with other departments and organizations to enhance OSH. We also work with the Development Bureau in promoting the adoption of Smart Site Safety System 4S to enhance smart site safety. We have established a notification mechanism. If the Labor Department discovered that construction site issued with 4S label is found to have obviously failed to apply 4S properly, we notify the Development Bureau through the mechanism for follow-up action. We also work with the Construction Industry Council on the implementation of the 4S initiative. We will also keep tab on the latest technology to encourage the sector to make use of the latest technology. We also work with the CIC to hold the first OSH Expo, promoting the latest OSH products so that members of the public in the sector can learn more about the technology. That was our first expo, but that was attended by 20,000 participants. We also enhance the Construction Industry Safety Award Scheme to encourage the sectors to make use of new technology to enhance site safety. We also provide legal advice to product developers so that they can create new products and control the risk at source. Our department will enhance the adoption of technology. We will create a team to use the small unmanned aircraft for aerial photography and generate 3D photorealistic model. The program is expected to be launched in late 2025. We will continue to monitor the various sectors, and we will adopt a risk-based approach and adjust our measures and strategies. We'll also work with the sector to create a good OSH culture. Thank you, Chairman. I welcome questions from members.
Thank you. I now open the floor to members to ask questions. 4 minutes, questions and answers included. Let me read out the order of the members who are going to speak, as I know some members will have to go to the PWHC meeting. First member, Mr. Kenneth Leung, Dr. Frankie Ngan, Deputy Chair, Mr. Lai Tong Kwok, Mr. Peter Shield, Mr. Kingsley Wong, Ms. Doreen Kong, and Mr. Kwok Wai-kang and myself. Mr. Kenneth Leung. Thank you, Chairman. On two fronts, one in relation to extreme weather. This May, there were enhancements to the relevant mechanism, that is the guidance notes on prevention of heat stroke at work. In outdoor working environments, can you share with us the latest situation? This July, there was a report on cleaners. Only 30% of the workers received notice about guidance notes for heat stress. When it comes to the application of technology, I'm glad to see that we had the first OSH INT Expo this year. The result was quite good. I'd like to ask the administration how you are going to enhance the scheme and the expo so that different stakeholders will conduct exchange in different areas so that they will learn to protect their employees with the help of technological application. Mr. Fong. Thank you. I will take the question. If need be, Dr. Wen will supplement. In relation to the heat stress guideline, it was published last year. It was something new, so we needed to explain to the public that we have amber, red, and black when it comes to the heat stress at work warning, HSWW. Well, I was mocked and called Mr. Stroke last year. With the introduction of this system, we conducted a review after the summer holiday in 2023. There was improvement to the situation. We have closer collaboration ties with the Hong Kong Observatory. In relation to the reporting mechanism of amber, red, and black, we have made technical adjustments so that there won't be the activation of the system all of a sudden. Some industries talked to us. They said they had prepared industry-specific guidelines for their own companies. In the construction industry, their processes are interlinked. So last year, they already issued guidelines or guidance notes for their own industry. It was recognized by us. With the cleaning industry and the property management industry, we worked together, and they also issued their industry-specific guidance notes. We'll continue with our publicity efforts, but I'd like to emphasize employers and employees alike also have responsibilities. Employers need to conduct risk assessments. They also need to discuss with employees in relation to arrangements in the situation of heat stroke. The FEHD has done a good job. They have installed installations to help their own employees. On technological application, the Development Bureau, the OSHC, and so on have adopted different means to promote technology. The OSH INT Expo will work with the Council next year. We are expecting the second INT Expo next year. And we will also adopt technology to improve OSH. Dr. Wen, anything else to add? No? Thank you. Next, myself. In the paper, paragraph number 8, it mentions a risk-based OSH principle. There are enforcement, publicity, as well as promotion that target different industries. Any particular group of employees that are prone to occupational injuries, say mentees, ethnic minorities, or so on. Have we identified special features of any particular group of employees that are prone to occupational injuries? While analyzing accidents, we consider the causes of accidents. We always say both employers and employees also have responsibilities. Do employers provide sufficient protective gear as well as risk assessments? After employees receive instructions from employers, do they comply with the instructions? On publicity, we understand that we need to do more. In some cases recently, ethnic minorities might not have a full grasp of the safety instructions. So our work will focus on ethnic minorities. We will do more on this front. There are more and more ethnic minorities working in the construction field. If they don't have sufficient awareness, they themselves or their family members or their coworkers will also be affected. We'll work with different units to enhance publicity. When it comes to risk-based principle, it goes without saying that the construction industry has more occupational accidents. So when we take a look at the figures, inspections, manpower distribution, we devote half or even more resources to the occupational safety health of the construction industry. So we attach a lot of importance to the construction industry, considering the risk levels. We want to do more in this regard, and we welcome observation from members. Next member, Mr. Lai Tong-kwok. Thank you, Deputy Chair. Industrial incidents, one is all too many. Whenever we see fatalities, the Secretary also says his heart sinks. But after a few days, we see yet another industrial accident. There are codes of practices issued by the Labor Department. In relation to non-compliance with these codes of practice, do they not amount to criminal liabilities? Well, that is not the case. The code of practice do have their legal status. One, guidance notes. The other is code of practice. We also have subsidiary legislation. Or Dr. Wan can supplement. Please switch on the mic for Dr. Wan. Thank you. Mr. Wan, for some duty holders, if they don't comply with the codes of practice, we will see whether similar measures or measures at the same level have been adopted. Otherwise, we will initiate prosecution in accordance with the law. The aim is to enhance the safety level of the measures. So in other words, the codes of conduct or codes of practice You cannot sue a company for any non-compliance with the code of practice or code of conduct. Is that the case? In the course of prosecution, the code of practice or conduct will be an important piece of evidence on which you will prosecute the company. Is that the case? If so, I suggest you revise the existing mechanism. Any non-compliance with the code of conduct or practice will amount to criminal liabilities, and that will enhance the deterrent level. On the 5th of November, there was an accident involving bamboo scaffolds. There is oftentimes a misconception that bamboo scaffolds only refer to the large scaffolds in construction sites. However, in day-to-day life, there are oftentimes smaller scale bamboo scaffolds, say for air conditioners. Construction work involving air conditioners will also entail bamboo scaffolding works. And this will give rise to a problem when any company is to build a bamboo scaffold for the construction works involving air conditioners. Companies do need to put in place sufficient safety measures. There should also be a record of the safety measures put in place. The company must, before the commencement of the construction works, keep a record of the safety measures, and that's exactly how you collect evidence. Whenever there is any accident, that company will have to be held accountable. If we put in place these two measures, coupled with publicity efforts, I believe you will find it more effective or efficient to guard against unfortunate accidents. Commissioner, I go along with Mr. Lai. When we revise the code of practice for bamboo scaffolding safety work, we target smaller scale bamboo scaffold, or TOS. The workers working on TOS have to receive qualifications from the council before they can commence works in this regard. We have already revised and enhanced the code of practice. Property management sector has also been reminded. They need to check whether the workers working on TOS have the relevant qualifications. In case of any dispute, they can call the Labor Department. Next member, Mr. Peter Shield. Thank you, Deputy Chair. Commissioner, OSH has been in discussion in recent years. We talk about the penalty of an increase of 20% to $10 million. Well, does it mean when we increase the penalty level by 20 times, there won't be any accidents? In the first half of this year, we had 12 cases, and we saw an uptick. So, only by increasing the level of penalty, this won't guard against accident or fatality. It is only one of the means. But the crux of the matter is not to penalize the employer. The problem is whether employees understand the importance of safety measures. In paragraph 13 of the paper, in September, there was a 2-week special enforcement operation. 356 written warnings, 59 improvement notices, 4 suspension notices, 22 prosecutions have been initiated out of a total of 1,049 construction sites inspections. And that means 30% or so construction works are problematic. In paragraph 44, you mention 396 improvement notices have been issued and 350 prosecutions have been initiated as of September 2024, out of a total of 9,233 inspections. That means we need to further enhance the safety awareness among employees. Let me give you an example. For paper shatters, they said they were problematic, and I asked where the problem was. We were reminded for ladies with long hair, it is possible the hair would be trapped inside the paper shatter. I agree with that. Probably ladies won't be aware of this problem. A safety precaution was suggested, and we did so accordingly. But most officers are not aware of this danger, so how should you enhance publicity? And if you find that the paper shatter is problematic, have you discussed with the EMSD in order to ban the import of such products? Or you should mandate safety measures or safety installations before they can be imported. So the crux of the matter is not to increase the level of penalty. You should inform different industries in relation to safety measures. For example, for owners of different factories, they should send a high-level employee whom you will remind them of the importance of safety measures, say the use of jacklifts. They can be told to fill in MC questionnaires, then they will pass on the relevant knowledge to their colleagues or co-workers. You need to be pragmatic so that you will pass the safety knowledge to the relevant employees. My last point is about prosecution of employers, and definitely employers don't want their employees to get hurt. Some want to be fast, so Mr. Peter Schill, please allow the administration some time. Well, I'm not asking for an answer from the administration. Well, maybe in brief.
A simple response, please, Deputy Commissioner. Thank you. We cannot completely rely on prosecution. That's true. In various international events, we understand that publicity and promotion, as well as education, are equally important. This is our stance, and this is our attitude. We will continue to adopt a three-pronged approach so that we can improve our OSH culture. Next, Mr. Kingsley Wong. Thank you, Chairman. As a lot of members have mentioned, it seems that we are having more industrial accidents. Out of the past 5 days, there were 3 work fatalities, which is very serious. In paragraph 42, it is said that the Labor Department will use SUA to collect evidence. How do we make use of technology to minimize the occurrence of industrial accidents? I wonder how many SUAs we will have and how many staff do you have under the team of technology. I think that apart from accidents, health is equally important. In the first half of 2024, we have 121 work fatalities. They're not accidents, but when I talk to the workers in the construction, we have 27 cases, postal storage services 22, insurance 14, professional services 26. Occupational health is also very important. When people work in warehouse, ventilation is not good. That's why people suffer from heat stroke. And when people work long hours, they may pass away because of overworking. So I wonder if the Labor Department have looked into the 200 odd cases. Have you done any analysis? We have to provide our workers a safe working environment. Deputy Commissioner, thank you. Now, in terms of the adoption of SUAs, we are just at a starting phase. We are making reference to other departments. In Hong Kong, we have a lot of skyscrapers, so we have to be careful. Mr. Wang will talk about the application of SUAs because he is responsible for this project. Mr. Wang, thank you. We are currently procuring the SUAs and training our staff. Now, in terms of evidence collection, SUA is like a flying camera with the advantage of being able to fly. They can collect evidence and take photos for us. We're now working along this line to see how we can help our staff in patrolling and inspecting various sites in Hong Kong. We have some 20 colleagues who are undergoing relevant training. We will do it step by step. When our colleagues have become more familiar with the technology, then we will extend the training to more colleagues so that more colleagues can be more knowledgeable about the technology. Can you tell us which annex you're referring to? I'm referring to Annex 2, Occupational Injuries in All Workplaces in the first half of 2024. You can see that the number of fatalities is very high. So I wonder if the administration has done any analysis. So it's not just referring to the construction industry, but all workplaces in Hong Kong. Thank you for the clarification. The number set out in Annex 2 are not directly related to accidents. A lot of them are about strokes and cardiac arrests. Together with the OSHC, we are adopting different measures to see how we can encourage the workers to take care of their own health. We work with the Department of Health and the OHXC to brief workers and enhance their awareness of a healthy diet and avoidance of overworking so that the risk of cardiac arrest and stroke can be minimized. Next, Ms. Doreen Kong. Thank you, Chairman. I am also very concerned about occupational safety. In the past 5 days, we have 3 work fatalities. I am deeply saddened by it. Not just senior workers, young workers also suffer. So I have a few questions. I'd like to follow up on Mr. Lai's question on trestle bamboo scaffolds. I've looked at the courses on bamboo scaffolds and I compare it with those of other countries. The number of hours is not an issue. I know that you have enough of them, but I'd like to know more about the training for supervisors. We have a lot of basic training of a few dozen hours. But when it comes to supervisory courses, we don't have that many. For bamboo scaffolding safety, we also don't have too many courses on it. So I wonder if you think that our courses on supervision and bamboo scaffolding safety are enough. For erection of bamboo scaffolds, of course, workers have to ensure their safety, but the bamboo scaffolds need to be inspected regularly. So I wonder if the administration think that we should step up inspection. Third, on the mainland workers coming through the supplementary labor schemes, I saw 2 injuries and fatalities that involve mainland workers imported via the SLS. So I wonder if there is any explicit procedures to make sure that these imported labor undergo sufficient training. Have they undergone training on use of machinery or personal equipment? We want to enhance safety awareness. Have we targeted workers imported via the various supplementary labor schemes? Thank you. I will take some of the questions and then I will ask Mr. Wen to supplement. Regarding imported labor, well, we treat all workers equally. All imported workers who work on government projects via the Development Bureau, they have to undergo the green card courses. Our standards for them are the same as that for the local workers. They would have a certain level of experience before they can be imported into Hong Kong. So our requirements for them are the same as that for the local workers. There could be, well, I know that there were some accidents, and some of them happened in the 3-1-way systems project. We sent staff there to inspect the sites because the project for 3-1-way systems is rather substantial. That's why we, since last week, have been conducting inspections very frequently, and it's still ongoing. For the first part of the question, I will ask Mr. Wen to supplement. Thank you. Assistant Commissioner. Thank you, Chairman. Regarding bamboo scaffolding safety, our current requirement is that for workers who perform erection, addition, alteration, or dismantling of bamboo scaffolds, they should be certified, and there has to be supervisor there. That supervisor has to be a registered person with 10 years experience in the field. As mentioned by the Deputy Commissioner, we have enhanced and amended the Code of Practice. And we set out that the supervisor should not engage in the work. They should only perform supervision. This will ensure the work safety of those who are erecting the bamboo scaffolds. Thank you. Please be brief, Ms. Kong. Thank you. I see that the CIC only inspects the courses for a few days, but for other places, well, the supervisory courses last more days, so I hope that they will lengthen the course for supervisors. Okay, please review the course length. Thank you.
Mr. Kwok Wai-kung. Thank you, Chairman. My heart sings whenever I follow up on occupational safety health incidents. How can we further enhance our work safety culture? And that is our future direction. Were there significant changes after the enhancement of the level of penalty? Well, we haven't yet identified any significant changes. We need to change the safety culture from the top-down level. We want to remind workers not to let down their guard. but the work safety culture hasn't yet taken form. Risk assessments haven't been conducted well. That is the case in the front line. Sometimes people are rushing through to get works done. Just now, the administration mentioned that they went to the third runway system to inspect the works. Some people told us that they had to work in the evening for the third runway system works. So how many inspections were conducted in the evening? Two days ago, the airport authority, AAHK, set a good example. A worker wasn't equipped with protective gear, and the AAHK decided that they would not continue with working with the relevant company. The contract was terminated. Apart from the employer, definitely they will have to pay attention to or attach importance to work safety. But can workers or members of the public report any non-compliance with safety measures? Are the reporting mechanisms used to good effect? How many accidents have been prevented as a result of the reporting mechanism? I look forward to more information being provided by the administration. A trestle bamboo scaffold fell down to the street. Of course, we need to probe into the accident. The workers were equipped with protective gear. That's exactly why we could prevent an accident. We need to work with publicity. Say we need to contact the worker so that we can promote the message of not getting hurt despite an accident. The key is to be equipped with protective gear. Deputy Commissioner. Haste makes waste. We need to prevent accidents. We shouldn't rush through works. Many cases are still being probed into, so I'm not at liberty to share more information. In some cases, the suspended working platform fell down, and because the workers were equipped with protective gear, firemen successfully saved his life. So we shouldn't rush through construction works at the expense of safety. Just now I mentioned inspections at the third runway system. I'm not in a position to share with you the investigation details, but we're aware of the construction works being conducted in the evening. We'll keep it in mind. In recent years, we have been enhancing the reporting mechanism of non-compliances. We have a complaint platform in addition to the app OSH 2.0 and complaint hotline. People can lodge complaints through these channels. We have been enhancing publicity. Even workers can report to us when they identified any non-compliance. As of September 2024, we have received 1,000 cases. That is about 100 cases per month. We have issued 600 or so warnings in written form. There were also 30-odd cases of prosecutions underway. Next, Mr. Benson Luk. Thank you, Chairman. Industrial accidents are one all too many. We need to attach importance to OSH. It requires a tripartite collaboration among the government, companies, as well as employees. Fines, imprisonment terms, there were enhancements. And we want to reduce the number of accidents indeed. From the information papers for fatal industrial accidents in the first half of this year, we didn't see any significant decrease as a result of the amended OSH regulations. We want to prevent occupational accidents. We don't want to simply penalize employers. Lives of construction workers are the most important. We need to promote safety measures. Say 4S, digital monitoring. Are all workers equipped with protective gear, harnesses? I understand the administration has prepared code of practice or code of conduct. They review and revise these codes from time to time. What about the basic training for workers? Should we take stock of the courses? The Deputy Commissioner also has attended the MST course, but the qualifications of tutors or lecturers are not quite good. When workers don't understand the Chinese language, they may find it difficult in the construction site to carry out the works. Representatives of trades of union should conduct a holistic review. So that we can enhance occupational safety in construction sites. Deputy Commissioner. Thank you, Chairman. Yes, we agree that preventive work is very important. Training is the first step. So from time to time, we review the contents of the MST courses. There have been enhancements and updates. We are happy to follow up on suggestions from members in relation to quality control of the courses as well as ethnic minorities. We have different measures. First of all, on quality control, some colleagues frequently visit or inspect these training course providers. We also request them to provide us with the video of the MST courses. There were also covert operations. And we did identify deficiencies. We did suspend some training course providers. And the goal I give myself is to enhance the provision of MST courses. While on the qualification of lecturers or the trainers, I'll give the floor to Mr. Ng. When we approve the provision of courses, we tread very cautiously when it comes to checking the qualifications of trainers. Apart from the qualifications of the trainers, we also emphasize integrity. Apart from qualifications of the trainers, trainers also need to attend continuous training courses. such as courses conducted by the OSHC and ICAC. That's how they can become course trainers. Next, Mr. LUK Chung-hung. 3 weeks, 5 lives. Our hearts sink when we heard of these industrial accidents. We have doubts as to whether we can solve the problem after enhancing the level of penalty. It doesn't seem to work. While it doesn't mean that we shouldn't enhance the level of penalty, how can we enable the work safety culture to take form? In September, there was a 2-week SEO. They inspected 1,049 inspections. There were also inspection notices, say 556 written warnings, 59 improvement notices, and 4 suspension notices, as well as 22 prosecutions. Why doesn't the department conduct regular inspections like this? We need to take a look from the perspective of employees. When workers identified obvious problems, do you think they will report proactively? Just assume you are a worker. Will you do so? Deputy Commissioner. For the second point, I'll be direct. We encourage workers to report to their superiors in relation to any unsafe operations. In the case of serious accident, not just the Labor Department will take action. Contractors will also be held liable. The Housing Department, the Building Department, as well as the Development Bureau will also have a part to play. Well, what if there aren't any significant improvements? Will you report to the Labor Department? Just assume you were a worker. Would you do so? Well, if I were, I would definitely do so. Then, Deputy Commissioner, you would be a worker with sufficient occupational safety awareness. Well, but the case is that most workers won't do so. They don't want a tense relationship with their superiors. There would probably be a suspension notice. Then, works would be required to be stopped. Then they won't have any jobs. Well, in the case of suspension notices, then employers should continue to pay employees. Otherwise, no workers will be willing to report accidents. In the mainland, there is a relevant guideline that sets out an award mechanism for the complaints of non-compliances. If the reports are proven to be true, then there will be an award of 15%, and there is a minimum amount of $50,000. If there are rewards for complaints, then workers will be more than willing to report the non-compliances. Well, we should think about this proposal. Otherwise, it's difficult. We need to enable the safety culture to take form. Thank you.
鼓勵投訴。
Deputy Commissioner. A lot of contractors encourage reporting and complaints because if there is any accident, they will not just be investigated by the Labor Department, they will also not be able to submit any bids for our projects. I know that a lot of contractors encourage their workers to notify them of any unsafe conditions. So prevention is as important as legislation. In 2023, we amended the relevant legislation and enhanced the penalty. The overall deterrent effect has not been seen yet, but we see cases being heard in the courts, and prosecution has been initiated. Indictable offenses have been charged. I think that we need a longer time to look at the effectiveness. Mr. Shang Hailong. Thank you, Chairman. We all concerned about the OSH of our workers. The Deputy Commissioner invited me to go to 3 or 4 OSH seminars. I support our workers in enhancing their OSH awareness. I will continue to participate in these activities. A lot of members are concerned about how we can use technology to enhance OSH. However, we must choose the right technology for us. Some technology may look appealing, but they may not be applicable for Hong Kong. So I wonder what kind of technology has the LD chosen apart from SUA for enhancing OSH in Hong Kong? I wonder if there is INT talents and local contractors. Although we may have the products, but we need to analyze the data. To support OSH development, we may need talents to work on AI and computer science. Has the administration encouraged the sector to engage INT talents to make good use of our technology? Deputy Commissioner. Thank you, Mr. Shang, for participating in our OSH activities, and they have also shared with us how technology can promote the development of OSH in Hong Kong. We will continue to seek help from Mr. Shang. As I've said in the paper, the OSHC and the Development Bureau adopt technology widely, and the Development Bureau has initiated the 4S initiative. They have worked a number of packages out because there are different use cases in different places. These packages will tailor to the needs of different contractors. We also have subsidy scheme for private construction sites. If they make use of the technology to a certain level, the fund will provide financial assistance. So for government and private projects, they all make use of technology. We also have a 4S labeling scheme to encourage the sector to make use of the 4S initiative. We have seen 500 public and private sites taking part in the 4S labeling scheme. I know that the CIC is processing some of the applications. As I've said in my opening remarks, for sites that have been issued with a 4S label, if they fail to apply it properly, then the Development Bureau will disqualify them and remove them from the 4S labeling scheme. We try to promote technology in such a manner. As for the use and application of technology, we believe that the relevant contractors will hire more IT talents to solve their issues. I see contractors hire staff to develop and maintain their systems. Next, Mr. Chu Kok-kun. Thank you, Chairman. We have been promoting OSH over the years, and we are seeing results. One industrial accident is one too many. We have to continue to improve publicity and education of OSH. So I wonder if the administration will supplement with us some background of the cases because we not only can see the numbers, but we don't see the background of these work fatalities. We want to know about the nationality, the job nature of the workers, and their employers. If we know about the culture background and the work of the workers who suffered from injuries or fatalities, we can provide more accurate suggestions and formulate a more targeted strategies. For holders of safety card, that is green card, will you ask them to undergo mandatory basic safety training courses every year so that they have to take examinations to refresh their memory? Deputy Commissioner, thank you. Regarding the background of the accidents, we have to look at the database. We'll see if we can conduct in-depth analysis. We will work towards this direction and look into it together with the OSHC. We do have courses to refresh workers' memories. After receipt of green cards, workers still have to go through courses because OSH changes with times and there's new technology. So 2.5 years upon receipt of the green card, the workers will have to go through a refresher course. We will step up publicity and promotion. Mr. Chu, anything to add? Next, Mr. Tang Fei. Thank you, Chairman. The issues of OSH is what we all concern. Recently, a contractor has his contract terminated, and one worker who did not use the safety harness was being filmed by someone, and the video was sent to the media. We saw that that worker did not have safety harness on. And immediately after that, the airport authority terminated the contract for the subcontractor. We all applaud what the airport authority have done. We now adopt a strict liability approach. That is, as long as the workers don't use safety equipment, then employer of that worker will be held liable. As the employer, I may choose to just shut down my business. That's not a big deal. We now adopt or step up publicity and promotion to try to solve the problem. The government talked about the 4S. Will you make it compulsory or mandatory? Say, for example, for outdoor sites that are not confined, we should install CCTV to monitor the workers to see if they have any safety equipment in place. We have to see if the proprietors or the employers or the contractors have done their job. Is it the responsibility of the proprietors or is it the responsibilities of the workers? That's the core of the issue. How do we make use of technology to solve this liability issue? That's what the administration should work on. I'm not sure if this is a question or a comment, because if we can't solve this problem, then the OSH issues will be here forever. We have so many construction sites. We have imported workers and local workers. We have different safety culture. When we have so much OSH information or accidents, this put the society as a whole at an unease. If you just adopt the strict liability approach, the effect that you wanted to achieve cannot be met. Deputy Commissioner, thank you. Both employers and employees are responsible. according to our prosecution experience, apart from employers who are being charged, some employees were being prosecuted as well. Because if the employees are being negligent and as a result other employees suffer, then that negligent employee will be held liable. So both employers and employees could be prosecuted. So we always say that both employers and employees are responsible. The OSH awareness is the most important thing. Regardless of whether there is technology or not, we should not engage in high-risk activities just to be fast. We saw cases where workers did not implement safety measures seriously. Despite the availability of technology. So even if you have technology, if the workers don't follow the rules, accidents can still happen. In my reply to other questions, I've talked about 4S. We will continue to encourage the sectors to use it. For all public works projects, 4S been applied, and the buildings department mandate the application of 4S on some machinery. Through expansion of the 4S application, we hope to promote use of technology and instill a cultural change in the sector. Next, Mr. Dennis Leung. Chairman, thank you. In the past 3 policy addresses, the Chief Executive have attached a lot of importance to OSH. There were chapters on OSH. This year is no exception. Apart from increasing the penalty, upon a legislative amendment, what is the issue with OSH? I'm sure that the Labor Department have abundant information when they conducted patrols and inspections, and they have a task for 2025. They will enhance the quality of the mandatory basic safety training courses. But apart from legislation and improving the mandatory basic safety training courses, has the Labor Department identified any information during the course of patrol for us to enhance OSH and minimize cost? We have to reform. Just now, Deputy Commissioner talked about the code of practice on confined spaces and truss-out bamboo scaffolding works. Now, apart from applying the 4S to enhance monitoring, the most important thing is how we enhance the skills of workers. We don't cover prevention of accidents in the courses. For courses on bamboo scaffolding and their examination, will we include questions about safety so that we can enhance their awareness of OSH? Apart from monitoring, prior to workers starting the work, maybe we can give them a mobile application for them to enter some data saying that they have already inspected the site and that is safe. Maybe we should ask them to check whether the safety harness is right. Can we develop such systems so that we can enhance the awareness among workers and prevent accidents at source? Will the Labor Department dedicate more resources in this area? Because we have a lot of work fatalities in Hong Kong. I hope that the Labor Department will give us more information.
好，多謝主席。
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner. When it comes to systems, we have analyzed different cases. Based on the experience we have obtained, we have continued to make enhancements to regulations, guidance notes, codes of practice, and so on. We have made enhancements based on our experience for bamboo scaffolding work. We have immediately incorporated new requirements in the codes of conduct. The new requirements came into effect last month. For some cases, judicial proceedings are underway, so it's not appropriate for us to comment on them right now. But upon conclusion of the judicial proceedings, we will summarize the experience and make improvement suggestions. Mr. Ng, please be brief. There are 6 high-risk industries that require the workers to attend the mandatory basic safety training courses. For example, green card, confined workers working in confined spaces, and those working on TOS truss-out bamboo scaffold. In relation to safety harnesses, they are covered under the mandatory basic safety training courses. We have revised the code of practice for bamboo scaffolding safety. We require workers working on TOS to attend even more courses or to undertake trade tests. That covers not just techniques, but also safety elements. Let me give you some examples. In a course, we cover different types of safety harnesses for workers to choose. If they choose the wrong one, they are already considered having failed the trade test. All these are graded tests. If they fail any part of the trade test, they are considered having failed the entire trade tests. So we have a rigorous requirement. Next, Mr. Lam Chun-sing. Thank you. Industrial accidents are one too many. We don't want to see any accidents. Many departments have given suggestions to the Labor Department, including the 4S. How can we implement 4S in construction sites of different sizes? In the mainland, this is more common. The use of AI computer systems will allow us to monitor the construction site safety. We don't need to rely on the naked eye. Sometimes workers say at the airport, some workers aren't equipped with safety harnesses, and we can see them sliding down. That has to do with safety awareness about safety harnesses. In the mandatory basic safety training courses, safety harnesses are covered. But is it enough? Do we need to conduct surprise inspections? So in dangerous work environments, including work at height, confined spaces, should we make use of cameras on the safety helmets So before starting work, workers need to scan the QR code just to verify whether they have completed all safety measures or precautions. We can also detect any hazardous gases in the confined spaces. We need to provide such information in different languages, say English, Nepali, or other dialects, say Fujian dialect. It takes just 3 to 5 minutes to remind the workers of the safety precautions before starting work. I don't think it will affect the progress of the works. At the same time, it can enhance the safety of the work. With technological advancements, we can use technology to take forward these safety measures. Deputy Commissioner, thank you, Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee also works in this field, and I believe he's well versed in the situation. The Development Bureau is taking forward 4S. It covers a wide array of contents. In different scenarios, the requirements may differ. Our task is to enhance the contents of 4S, say safety helmets, or before any action, there should be reminders given to workers, and we need to incorporate all these elements. Then we can remind workers before they start work. In most construction sites, before workers start work, there are morning routine, morning exercises, briefing sessions, and so on. In view of more accidents, I also conducted site inspections. We want to improve the situation by hammering home these safety messages. Then we can once again remind workers of the importance of occupational safety. And last member to speak, myself. Recently, there are industrial accidents in both large and small construction sites. The government suggested making amendments to the relevant guidelines. Say construction works which take less than 6 weeks and less than 10 people. These are considered smaller scale construction works. And when contractors need to declare or report with a form, we can enhance the deterrence effect. But in recent years, I see that the government does not take forward this proactively. I want to know the reason behind it. Are you worried that many more smaller construction works will have to report as well? So when the Audit Commission or the Office of the Ombudsman will inquire into the reason why. Should we implement a mechanism for minor works to report such non-compliances? The Labor Department has recently conducted follow-up, which is quite fast. There were quite many accidents involving bamboo scaffolding works. That's why you revised the code of practice. There were also fatalities that took place in confined spaces. And you also swiftly revised the code of practice for safety and health in work in confined spaces. You required the installation of cameras, for example. You did work quite fast, but can you take one more step instead of simply mending the situation afterwards? Can you take stock of, say, platforms, elevators, across the board? Can you take stock of these installations at the same time? How can we improve the situation using technologies, then you can incorporate the elements into the code of conduct and code of practice. If you are worried that SMEs lack resources to buy the installations, then you can work with the Development Bureau and the OSHC to provide more resources to SMEs to pay for such technologies. Will you take stock on the guidelines, code of conduct, code of practices? Deputy Commissioner. Thank you, Chairman, for your suggestion. Our colleagues look into ordinances and subsidiary legislation. So in the document or in my introduction, I mentioned quite some revised codes of practice and codes of conduct. We are continuing to take forward these work. Regarding TOS, we're working on different fronts. We want to, through the code of conduct governing TOS, all TOS workers need to obtain qualifications by receiving training before they can work on TOS. Some workers only act on the instructions of their employers, and unfortunately, when there are accidents, then we cannot get a hold of the employers. That's exactly what we don't want to see. All TOS workers will have to take part in the training, and we have already taken the first step. We are working with the insurance sector and the bamboo scaffolding industry to provide more information. We want to analyze information and submit it to the industry, to the insurance sector. Then they can revise the premium for TOS work. They used to be, the premium used to be quite expensive considering the risks. We want to work with the insurance industry to reduce the premium. We want to facilitate positive interactions. We want to see an enhancement in the safety of TOS, resulting in an overall improvement to the safety of TOS. We've finished the first round. In the second round, Mr. LUK Chung-hung, we don't have sufficient time. Can you speak in 30 seconds? Well, I'd like to know how the administration managed to conduct 1,000 or so inspections in 2 weeks. Say, it's about 100 inspections per day. Well, can you make it a regular inspection exercise? Regarding SEO, Special Enforcement Operations, our colleagues will retrieve the record of the relevant works. Then our colleagues conduct inspections based on the information, based on the selected sites. That's why we managed to inspect more construction sites. We have finished discussing this agenda item. Thank you, Labor Department. Recently, there were quite many occupation accidents. Members have given good suggestions to the Labor Department. I hope that the Labor Department can review the suggestions made by members and improve the situation. Thank you, Labor Department.
Next item, key findings of 2023 manpower projection. Would the administration please enter the conference room? I know that all members of the Legislative Council are concerned about this item because this item involves manpower analysis of different sectors. So non-panel on manpower members are also invited to discuss this item. Let me introduce the officials with us today. They are Mr. Chris Sun, Secretary for Labor and Welfare, Ms. Angelina Kwan, Deputy Secretary for Labor and Welfare, Mr. Roy Chan, Head Research Unit Labor and Welfare Bureau, along with representatives from other bureaus, including Mr. Joseph Chan, Undersecretary for Financial Services and the Treasury, Ms. Lillian Chun, Undersecretary for Innovation Technology Industry, Ms. Grace Kwok, Deputy Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development, Ms. Joanne Hong, Deputy Secretary for Transport and Logistics, and Mrs. Susine Wong, Acting Deputy Secretary for Development. Thank you. Members who would like to put questions, please press the button. I will first ask Mr. Chris Sun, Secretary for Labor and Welfare, to brief us of the paper. As the last item overran, I will give the Secretary 2 minutes just to talk about a few points. The manpower projections been announced a few weeks ago. I'm sure that all members have the relevant information. I will finish my presentation within 1 minute. I'm sure that all members have read the paper. If we use 2023 as the base year, we will lack 50,000 workers. For the manpower situation in 2028, we will be lacking 180,000 people or workers. We will be suffering from a 60,000 gap in the skilled technical workers trade. The overall scale of the technical workers industries amount to just 400,000. So the manpower shortage situation will account for 40% of the entire industry. We will make good use of our existing manpower. We encourage more people to participate in the labor force. We enhance training. And we will import labor and talents to solve the manpower issues in certain sectors. I'll read out the names of the members who press the button. Ms. Doreen Kong, Mr. Ngaman Yu, Deputy Chairman, Mr. Tang Fei, Mr. Kingsley Wong, Mr. Xiu Ka-fai, Mr. Kenneth Lim, Mr. Luk Chung-hung, and myself. 3 minutes, including question and answer. As the last item overran, I will still be more relaxed with the time management. Ms. Doreen Kong. Thank you, Chairman. This manpower projection is very important because manpower affects our competitiveness. But the preparation for the projection must be scientific. I'm sure that is based on a lot of assumptions. After reading the few hundred pages of the projection, I see that the weighting given to factors and assumptions have not been set out very clearly in the report. So when you are preparing for the project, what kind of model do you adopt? That's my first question. Second, we must be strategy-based when we formulate these projections. The reason why we need to have strategy is because the development cycle is very long. So after rolling out such report, what is your strategy and what is your action plan? Thank you, Chairman. Thank you. Regarding the model, I will ask Mr. Roy Chan, who is our expert, to answer the question on model. As for strategy, we have a blueprint now because we now know the manpower supply and demand over the next 5 years. We've talked about the strategy in a report. First, we will enhance the productivity in Hong Kong, and we will also try to unleash the potential labor force to fill the gap. We will also step up employee retraining. with the application of artificial intelligence and with the increase of ESG demand, we will work on retraining of labor in these areas. And for sectors that have more severe shortages, while we accord priority to local workers, we will try to import labor to fill the gap. That's our macro strategies. As for the model and methodology, I will ask Mr. Chan to supplement. I'll be very quick. In Annex 1 to the report, it stipulates the methodology of the analysis. To put it simply, the manpower projections for demand and supply are done separately. For supply, we adopt the same assumptions as the CNSD. Say, for example, we also conduct trade consultations and make use of big data. We categorize the supply by industry and occupations. That's how we work out the supply projections. As for demand, we use a statistics model. We look at the growth of various sectors over the years. We accord more weightings to the trend in recent years. We use a science-based approach in making our calculations. We have conducted 170-odd trade consultations. We ask them if the development directions are right, and we ask them if the projections are realistic. After that, we finalize the figures. And that's how we arrive at the figures set out in the manpower projection report. We also talk to various bureaus and departments to see if they have any comments on the outcome. That's the process. Thank you. Next, Mr. Aman Yu, Deputy Chairman. Thank you, Chairman. I have a few questions for the administration. First, regarding the labor importation scheme for skilled technical workers, I wonder what the allocation is like. Second, for these imported skilled technical workers, what is the qualifications recognition situation? As for the projection in 2028, we lack manpower in the catering industry. Will we have a industry-based labor importation scheme for the accommodation and food industry? Thank you. Let me take your questions one by one. In the policy address, the chief executive said that under the existing two labor importation schemes, we will add an extra category for skilled technical workers. They have to have university qualifications aged below 35. They have to meet our other requirements as well. We're working out the details of the arrangement. We don't think that we need to subcategorize the technical skills or assign quotas to each and every category. We need to have an overall quota for the trade. We want to import 10,000 workers in 3 years' time, but we don't have a quota for each trade. We think that by having an overall quota, our targets can be met. As we are lacking 60,000 workers in the trade, we are only importing 10,000 workers. Hopefully, that will assure our local workers. We don't think that we should allocate quotas to each subcategory or trade under the skilled technical industries. Workers have, or imported workers have to meet the qualifications in Hong Kong, and we'll try to make sure that they can obtain the relevant licenses. Because for some licenses or certificates, they require working hours in Hong Kong. If that imported workers has never worked in Hong Kong, then they wouldn't be able to obtain the license. We should we should relax the restrictions for them, because these workers may have worked a long time in other places. Shouldn't we relax the work experience requirements for these workers? That's what we're looking into it. That's what we're looking into. As for the accommodation and food industry, we are not going to create a new imported labor or labor importation scheme for that. We already have a supplementary labor scheme that import workers for accommodation and food industry. Mr. Tang Fei. Thank you, Chairman. Appreciate the manpower projection. This is important for the long-term development of our city. In Annex 2, we see 4 occupation groups. Have you considered the impact brought about by AI to manpower demand? Say, for example, for low-skilled trades or those that don't require licensing, the impact could be greater. It seems that we have severe manpower shortage. Maybe the gap will close in a few years' time with technology. If you look at the first groups under professionals, doctors, engineers, architects, accountants, teachers, if we include AI in the industry, the professionals will still be needed. But as for researchers and academics, scientists, university professors, AI may impact the demand for researchers and academics. For non-skilled workers, their prospects may be affected as well. For skilled technical workers, they have to acquire licenses, and AI may have been included in the courses. So AI will not be a problem for them. But as for service industry workers, with the prevalence of AI, as you can see in some airports, there is no staff. So their prospect would be more heavily impacted. So have you taken into account the factor of technology when you prepare your manpower projections? Secretary, yes, we have considered technology and AI. There are 2 things. One, we have assessed how AI affects the labor market. We have taken into account the global trends of technology advancement, and we have also looked at how AI affects the manpower supply and demand. As you can see from the report, that the IMF estimate that 40% of jobs in the world will be affected by AI and automation. But there are 2 levels to it. First, application of AI and automation. I think that AI will not affect low-skilled workers because they will be replaced by automation as well. We will no longer have human cashier, but just machine cashier. AI will affect high-end work, but their jobs will not be replaced. Those workers will, however, have to know how to use AI. If you don't know how to use AI, then your job prospects would be affected. So for low-skilled workers, AI will not affect them. Automation, however, would. But as we all know, Hong Kong is very small. Even with robots developed, we cannot place it in our premises. For cleaning workers, for example, window cleaners, it's difficult for us to use robots because our space is very limited. AI will affect the professional instead.
Mr. Chen, In our consultation with the industry, information shows us the impact will range between 10% and 20%. AI will affect the higher echelon of a company. For clerks or workers with repetitive duties, they don't have as much as an impact. Scientists, we may not see the impact on scientists in 1 year. Next, Mr. Kingsley Wong. Thank you, Chairman. I've read the report. It did a good job on manpower demand. There are different requirements set out. From the information, I can see that the report seems to neglect the suggestions from the trade unions. Trade unions were not consulted before the compilation of the report, so the supply of manpower might not be that accurate. Among the 180,000, the labor participation rate is quite low in Hong Kong. We have 55%, for Singapore 69%, for Macau 63%. And it's about the policy that encourages employment. Elderly people aged between 60 and 64, the labor participation rate of Hong Kong is lower than Singapore by 18%. For those earning not more than $23,000, the employers will have to pay 8%. So that would be enough to subsidize 460,000 elderly people to work in the labor market. So we need to consider how to encourage more people to work in the workforce. The report also mentions manpower mismatch. Say AI experts, digital talents, and so on. We need to take into account the trend of the nation and of the GBA. We need to look into the manpower mismatch. It has been highlighted in the report. So, on increasing the provision of manpower, how the government will improve the situation, and in relation to manpower mismatch, how will the government approach this situation? Thank you, Mr. Kingsley Wong. If we can markedly increase the labor participation rate, of course, we can solve the problem of a lack of manpower in the market. We draw reference from record in the past. It's not easy to adjust or to make adjustments to the situation. This year, we try to implement the re-employment allowance, and we give $20,000 when workers are willing to work for 1 more year. Some 20,000 odd people have registered for the scheme. We target those above the age of 40. But there are also difficulties in reality. Despite work in this regard, for some sectors that require new blood, we do need to think how we can plug the succession gaps. In relation to skill mismatch, we have identified the challenge. On two fronts. On the first front, we have conducted the manpower projection, which will be good reference to institutions. Then educational institutions can adjust the design of their curricula. For existing workers in the market, retraining needs to be enhanced, especially the application of AI. We aren't asking people to become AI experts, but you need to know how to use AI. Then rest assured, you will be able to keep your job and you can further develop your career. Our meeting is scheduled to end at 12:45. 5 members are waiting to speak. I'll first extend the meeting by 15 minutes. Those who would like to speak, please press the button as soon as possible. I'll draw a line after Mr. Peter Shield speaks. Next member, Mr. Peter Shield. Thank you, Chairman. In the past year or so, the administration has done a lot to troll for talents. Requirements have been relaxed as well. The administration wants to import workers from the GBA, for instance. Workers can also stay in Hong Kong to become permanent residents in Hong Kong. In the past year or so, we applaud the work of the administration. We lack manpower. This issue has been in discussion for a long time. The Bureau should have sufficient information. You have information about our birth rate of the proportion of people aged 65 or above in Hong Kong. This issue doesn't prop up today. We have been saying that you need to import workers from elsewhere. Starting from the 4th of September last year, you started to import workers, and we identified a lack of manpower across different sectors. In Hong Kong, there are SMEs and micro-enterprises facing challenges. The unemployment rate has increased to 3.1%. There is a lack of manpower. Despite the introduction of the SLS, some workers have managed to come to Hong Kong to work. But the industry, in the labor market, there is the median wage index, say the retail sector, $15,000, and they will have to pay an extra amount of $9,600 for further training. So that doesn't help with the competitive edge of the worker. Many industries are in the middle of transformation, and we need to think about changing our system in Hong Kong. The median wage is a requirement we have imposed on ourselves, and this will retard the development of the local industry. So, Secretary, will you consider canceling the median wage in the sector? Thank you. Regarding the enhanced SLS, there are a few pillars. Foreign labor needs to be given the median wage of the industry, and we have no plan to change this arrangement. Mr. Kenneth Leung. Thank you, Chairman. We have finally seen the report on the Manpower Projection 2023. We have been waiting for it for a long time. we need to tie in with the development of AI. In page 20 of the report, it mentions AI. For some job types, they are difficult to be replaced by technology. Just now the Secretary said this is not the case. With the application of AI, we can increase productivity or output, so probably the administration wants to be more careful with the wording of the report. It does not mean that technology won't replace our workers. In the report, the employment rate of young people is mentioned, or how they will take part in the 10 odd sectors as mentioned in the report. We can work more proactively with educational institutions instead of asking them to go through our report. There are studies recently showing that young people are concerned about the quality of their employment. The jobless rate among young people is quite low. Single-digit figure, and it's a historical low. But what about the quality of employment? It's just a job, not a career for them. Just now the Secretary said it is left for the university to design, and we need to take a proactive approach to see how life planning, career planning can tie in with the manpower projection we have seen. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Kenneth Leung. We'll share the report with the educational institution and the Education Bureau. University receives grant every 3 years. The next cycle of manpower projection will not be ready before the grant received by universities next time. And I also conducted a talk or a seminar with educational institutions. They knew that there would be this manpower projection report. If universities require our further explanation, we will also explain further to the relevant university. Next, Mr. Michael Luk. Thank you, Chairman. Well, I thank the Secretary for sticking to the principle of the median wage of the industry. We do need to stick to this principle. This median wage is, so to speak, our bottom line for according priority to employing local workers. Otherwise, companies will say that they cannot employ sufficient local workers, and this will deal a great blow to local workers. So I appreciate the Secretary for his categorical reply. I need to give you a thumbs up. Many people are concerned about young people's employment. We can see a lack of focus for young people to secure employment. Some industries used to have a good future, but young people didn't know these industries had a good future. Say the maritime industry, the future is actually very good. But why is the case not many young people want to join the industry? Well, I think the administration should devote more resources to life planning at university, secondary schools, or post-secondary institutions. The FTU devotes resources to promoting life planning. Practitioners can introduce their industries to students, and these seminars are convincing. But we are hamstrung by a lack of resources. And I have to declare I'm from the labor group as well. Can the administration increase resources? Can we give more resources to life planning, Secretary?
Thank you for your suggestion. After the meeting, we will see how we can leverage on the trade unions and workers' unions. A lot of people in the community has been working on this front for schools that academic performance is not as great. They provide career planning for their students, and that's beneficial for our children. We'll work with them on this. Thank you. Next, Mr. Dennis Leung. Thank you, Chairman. We only have the Labor Welfare Bureau, Commerce and Economic Development Bureau, ITIB, TLB Development Bureau here. I think that we need the Education Bureau representatives here to answer my questions, because nurturing future talents is an important part to manpower projections. We need to have more workers in the city operation industries. Apart from engaging local workers, we have to import labor to meet the prevailing problems. But we should also look at what measures we should adopt to nurture our next generation. The Education Bureau used to be a part of the manpower projection. In terms of the top-tier design, we have a committee on the coordination, but I don't see how the administration can solve our manpower shortage issue. Our members have come across cases where imported labor has their wages defaulted. We have to care about the labor rights of the local workers, but for imported labor, we also have to care about them. We should not abuse them. There is a conflict between local and imported workers. I am fully aware of that. But I hope that the Education Bureau would be aware of our current situation. We have to look at the characteristics of our young people to see how we can encourage them to participate in the labor force. Thank you. Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Leung, for the suggestion. The reason why we haven't invited the Education Bureau here is because a lot of bureaus are involved. Education Bureau is involved in the supply of teachers. Maybe not a lot of members will talk about teachers. So we have engaged the major bureaus. But I will relay your questions to the Education Bureau. Your question may be more appropriate for the panel on education. I'd like to stress again that both local and imported labor enjoy the same legal protection. I know that incidents have happened. We will seriously follow up on those cases. As long as there is evidence, we will hold any person liable, and we will also consider administrative sanctions. I'm sure that the Education Bureau has read and analyzed the report. Mr. Dennis Leung is concerned about what measures the Education Bureau has to address the issues. I hope that you will relay the concerns put by Mr. Leung to the Education Bureau. Next, Mr. Kwok Wai-keun. Thank you, Chairman. To meet the development goals of 8 centers and 9 significant sectors, we need talents. So it's necessary for us to have this projection. But I hope that the projection will be targeted enough. The projected GDP growth has been included in the projection. While we develop our economy, we have to make sure that our employees and workers enjoy the fruit of our growth. Although our overall unemployment rate is low, the unemployment rate for young people is not low. For people aged between 15 to 24 is 9.6%. For people aged between 18 and 19, the percentage is 18%. We want to step up local training to provide a career path for young people and offer them a career progression ladder. But how do we actually accord priority to local workers? What measures can we adopt to meet this target so that our local young people will not be affected by the imported workers? That's my first question. Second, I'm worried that private companies may no longer attach importance to internal training because now they can import workers. I'm worried that they will delay their training or reduce the frequency of training. That may affect the career progression of our young people. Thank you. Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Kwok, for the questions. Our stance and principles have not changed. We always accord top priority to employment of local workers. For the enhanced supplementary labor scheme, the employers have to hire local workers first, and the imported workers have to obtain the salary that is equivalent to the median income of the salary of the local workers. We try to import 10,000 workers, while the shortage is 60,000 workers. That's how we want to send the message to young people that we have ample opportunities for them, but we have to cater to the problems of manpower shortage in skilled technical worker industry. A lot of enterprises want to hire young people. For any enterprise, they want to hire local young people because these young people will not leave Hong Kong. They just try to import labor to fill the gap. It's my turn. Now, in this report, it is said that in the next 5 years, we will have a 880,000 manpower shortage. We have a large gap to fill. We have imported some 100,000 workers and a few tens of thousands from the supplementary labor scheme. If we can unleash 100,000 workers from the local labor force, coupled with training and education, it's not too difficult for us to fill the 180,000 gap. The report is very detailed. It covers industries on AI, IT experts that have not been covered in the past. With the report, will you adjust the manpower strategy, including the top talent pass schemes? We have more and more applications under the TTPS approved. If we have 400,000 to 500,000 applications approved under the TTPS, if they are not AI specialists or IT experts, they may compete with local workers. Is the TTPS effective? With the manpower projection report, I know that some top talents will have their visa extended very soon. With all these data, will you review the TTPS? Maybe you limit the application to a certain industry with manpower shortage, or we increase the quotas for a certain industry. Maybe we give top talents talent accommodation if they work in certain industry with manpower shortage, so that we can attract the right talent for Hong Kong. Will you review the TTPS with the report? Thank you. Secretary. Under the manpower projection, it's clear they set out that we have a manpower shortage, but the gap is not large, especially in the professional groups. In 2023, our aging process has slowed down. Over the past decade, we aged 0.5 to 0.8 years old, but in 2023, we aged only 0.3 years. We see an increase in age group between 35 and 44. We have 20,000 more people aged between 35 and 44. But does that mean we should stop? As mentioned in the policy address, we have improved the TTPS. For Category A talents, we extended the visa period. For applicants who fulfill the visa renewal requirements, they will stay in Hong Kong. For those who don't fulfill the requirements, they will have to leave. The standards for all these schemes are very clear. We don't target a 100% retention rate. If these talents fulfill our renewal requirements, it means that they can contribute to our economy. Then we welcome them to stay. If these talents cannot adapt to the life of Hong Kong, we'll not try to force it. We will have to look at the number of visa renewal applications in the next round. Now, Mr. Kingsley Wong, I will extend the meeting by a further 15 minutes for Mr. Kingsley Wong to put his question. Please be very simple, 2 minutes. Thank you. On the one hand, we need 60,000 to 65,000 skilled technical workers in 2028, but some workers leave after joining the industry. Let me give you an example. Lyft. For young people, they have to work 6 days a week and they have to work 10 to 12 hours per day with low salary. For sectors with severe manpower shortage, will you ask the sector to change their employment conditions? For example, by shortening the working days to 5 days and have the workers work 8 hours per day to retain young people in certain industry with manpower shortage. Will you investigate? For a mentorship program, have you looked at the situation? Because some mentees said that because of jobs prospect issue, they changed trade. And there's great discrepancy among different trades. With the change in times, young people have different aspirations for their career. I hope that you will look into it.
Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Kingsley Wong. The wages are dependent on the supply and demand in the labor force. We have increased the amount of allowances for apprentices. So upon completion of the training, we also provide subsidies to the graduates of the programs. That is for them to enhance their development. But the salary that they will receive in the end is not decided by the administration. It is decided by the market. We have finished discussing this agenda item. Thank you, members, for giving the administration many views. The Manpower projection report is just a starting point. There's much to be followed up, say, enhancing training in Hong Kong and unleashing the labor potential of women. I hope the administration will take on board members' views. Thank you, officials. Last agenda item, any other business? There being no AOB, meeting adjourned. Thank you.